becoming more and more prevalent these days, but the way on how proposition trying to give the deterrent effect to the students by just expelling the students from the school will never solve any other bullying cases that will happen in the future. Our goal is simple. We want to create a safer place in school by minimizing this kind of bullying to happen and solving the bullying with a much more appropriate and comprehensive way. Therefore, our stand is clear. We won't suddenly expel the student who commit bullying, but rather we will do a much more appropriate and genuine approach to the student who do this. Several models in opposition. 1. We will still do a socialization to all the students in school and also the parents for the awareness of this bullying stuff. This including the factor how bullying look like, how to report, etc. This might be also delivered from the experts. But secondly, if there are any form of bullying that still happen in school, several things we will do. A. Giving the facility to the victims mentally and physically support. For example, the incentive to get psychologists, mental support, platform to speak, etc. But B. The punishment we'll give will no longer form as expelling, but rather giving this like a scoring to students who do this. So the punishment will be also proportional to their behavior. But C, the rehabilitation of the perpetrators, including genuine communication to understand why do they do this thing to begin with, like analyzing their family background. For example, if they are economically deprived, like we will giving like financial support, scholarship, etc., and we will educate the parents also. But lastly, the check and balance can be done by the teachers. This will be look like by monitoring on how the progress of the student after the rehabilitation. If they are still doing the same, we will punish them, but with a more stricter scoring and a much more closer approach. The whole process will be processed under the victim consent. Several substantive in my speech. 1. The justification level. Why the expelling the student is not the ideal solution. First layer. The characterization as to why this bullying is happening. Judge understand that why bullying is happening in school, in status quo, is never always becoming from the inherent evil attention suddenly coming from the student's mind. Note that the factor of the bullying happening are so universal. Maybe 1, bullying might happen because the feeling of them wanted to be too dominating. Second, the coping mechanism of their inner insecurities. But thirdly, this also happen like the anger because of the anger issues that's not uncontrollable inside of their in their mental health. These things are not happening in a sudden. These things are most likely happen because of how the lack fulfillment of something crucial in their life. The external factor might be something that make them becoming like this. For example, 1, how they are facing the family problem outside of the school. They never feel the validation and affection when they are failing the test in school, for example, and the cycle is happening in their entire life. Second, they maybe have those several mental health issues that couldn't make them act rationally, and they have no incentive to go to like a psychologist for instance. But thirdly, maybe they have exposed to many violence movies that as the result of because of their parents never put any attention to their movies consumption. Or maybe it's also happened because of how failing of the school to give a proper socialization and visualization of the form and the harms regarding this kind of bullying. Therefore, we think that how expelling the student because of the bullying case is a mismatched solution. Comparatively in our side, when you are analyzing the reason as to why the perpetrators doing so, we could giving a much more targeted solution to them. For example, fixing the education process to be much more fair, recommend them to a proper good coping mechanism, or trying to at least make their family to be much more aware to their kids for a more proper affection for this test. This is more ideal. Second layer, we think this is not also the ideal for this case that are still irrational. Understand that the characterization of the student in school age is mostly still underage, right? When this kid making a mistake, realize that they are still have no capability to be responsible and super rational. For example, when they do a mistake, the parents will be the one who are responsible, or why these kids are not as the reason why these kids are not granted the right to vote, or at least know how to do like a proper coping mechanism instead of this bullying to begin with. The deterrent effect will never manifest in their side when they just suddenly drop out from the school with no solution for their problems. Therefore, it's still better to giving them the solution and the chance to learn to be much more responsible. In their side, this will be much worse because you will punish the wrong people, not the main factor as to why they do these things to begin with. You will also normalize the parent to do this kind of bad things to their kids and never instead solving it. This will be so much effort on this side. But second argument then, why expelling students because of bullying is harmful? Understand when these kids are doing this bullying expelled from their previous school, the characterization of them is that they will have those kind of stigma in their environment and those bad track records in their report, for instance. This causes several harms. In the scenario when they are accepted to other school, the stigma that are coming from their previous school will be just suddenly disappear, right? This will be much worse because one, it will hard for them to find a friend because the notion of they are so problematic. Secondly, the teachers will be so likely to be biased to them. But thirdly, the student will have a little to no confidence to change their habit in their new school. But in this scenario, when you are not accepted in any of other schools, their CV will be so bad, right? It will be so hard for them to like change into or climb into a higher level of education. The weighting of this debate is clear. On our side, we are giving much more likelihood of comprehensive appropriation solution for them to not doing a much more future bullying, proud to oppose.